Abraham Grace Merritt, known by his byline, A.Merritt, was an American Sunday magazine editor and a writer of fantastic fiction. The Science Fiction and Fantasy Hall of Fame inducted him in 1999, its fourth class of 2 deceased and 2 living writers. Life. Born in Beverly, New Jersey, he moved to Philadelphia, Pennsylvania in 1894. Originally trained in law, he turned to journalism, first as a correspondent and later as editor. According to Peter Haining, Merritt survived a harrowing experience while a young reporter at the Philadelphia Inquirer, about which he refused to ever speak but would, as Haining claims, mark a turning point in Merritt's life. He was assistant editor of the American Weekly from 1912 to 1937 under Moral Goddard, then its editor from 1937 until his death. As editor, he hired the unheralded new artists Virgil Finlay and Hannah Spock and promoted the work done on polio by Sister Elizabeth Kenny. His fiction, 8 complete novels and a number of short stories, was only a sideline to his journalism career. One of the best-paid journalists of his era, Merritt made $25,000 per year by 1919, and at the end of his life was earning $100,000 yearly, exceptional sums for the period. His financial success allowed him to pursue world travel. He invested in real estate in Jamaica and Ecuador, and exotic hobbies, like cultivating orchids and plants linked to witchcraft and magic. Merritt married twice, once in the 1910s to Eleanor Ratcliffe, with whom he raised an adopted daughter, and again in the 1930s to Eleanor H. Johnson. He maintained an estate in Hollis Park Gardens on Long Island, where he accumulated collections of weapons, carvings, and primitive masks from his travels, as well as a library of occult literature that reportedly exceeded 5,000 volumes. He died suddenly of a heart attack at his winter home in Indian Rocks Beach, Florida, in 1943. Writing. Merritt's writings were heavily influenced by H. Rider Haggard, Robert W. Chambers, Helena Blavatsky, and Gertrude Barrows Bennett, with Merritt having emulated Bennett's earlier style and themes. Merritt's stories typically revolve around conventional pulp magazine themes: lost civilizations, hideous monsters, etc. His heroes are gallant Irishmen or Scandinavians, his villains treacherous Germans or Russians, and his heroines often virginal, mysterious and scantily clad. What sets Merritt apart from the typical pulp author, however, is his lush, florid prose style and his exhaustive, at times exhausting, penchant for adjective-laden detail. Merritt's fondness for micro-description nicely complements the pointillistic style of box illustrations. Merritt's first fantasy story was published in 1917, Through the Dragon Glass, in the November 14th issue of Frank Munsey's All-Story Weekly. Other short stories and serial novels followed in the Munsey magazine's All-Story, Argosy All-Story, and Argosy. The People of the Pit, The Moon Pool, The Conquest of the Moon Pool, 3 Lines of Old French, The Metal Monster, The Face in the Abyss, The Ship of Ishtar, 7 Footprints to Satan, The Snake Mother, Burn Witch Burn, Dwellers in the Mirage, and Creep Shadow. Meanwhile, rather few of his stories appeared elsewhere. The Pool of the Stone God, The Woman of the Wood, The Metal Emperor, and The Drone Man. Merritt also contributed to the round-robin story The Challenge from Beyond with Lovecraft, Robert E. Howard, C.L. Moore, and Frank Belknap Long. The Fox Woman and the Blue Pagoda combined an unfinished story with a conclusion written by Merritt's friend Hannah Spock. The Fox Woman and Other Stories collected the same fragment minus Spock's conclusion, with Merritt's short stories. The book The Black Wheel was published in 1948. After Merritt's death, it was written by Bock using previously unpublished material as well. Both these books were also illustrated by Bock and published by the small press The New Collectors Group in hardcover. After Merritt's death, Sam Moskowitz discovered a number of poems among his papers. Though some may have been written by other authors, they were credited to Merritt when published. Reputation. Merritt was a major influence on H.P. Lovecraft and Richard Shaver, and highly esteemed by his friend and frequent collaborator Hannes Bock. By then a noted SF illustrator, Carl Edward Wagner included Burn Witch Burn on his list of the 13 best supernatural horror novels in the May 1983 issue of the Twilight Zone magazine. Michael Moorcock and James Cawthorne list The Ship of Ishtar and Dwellers in the Mirage as two of the novels in the book Fantasy, the 100 Best Books, describing the former book as Merritt at the peak of his powers, and Merritt's work as a whole being full of memorable images. Robert Bloch also included Burn Witch Burn on his list of favorite horror novels. Gary Gygax, creator of the game Dungeons and Dragons, listed Merritt in Appendix N of the Dungeon Master's Guide and often noted that he was one of his favorite fantasy authors. In the Lensman series by E. Smith, there is a reference to the novel Dwellers in the Mirage in which the protagonist Kimball Kinnison references the book and a quotation from it. Luca, turn your wheel so I need not slay this woman. Work. Novels The Moon Pool available online plus Conquest of the Moon Pool. The Metal Monster available online. The Ship of Ishtar available online. 7 Footprints to Satan available online. The Face in the Abyss available online plus The Snake Mother. Dwellers in the Mirage available online. Burn Witch Burn available online. Creep Shadow available online. Short Stories Through the Dragon Glass available online. The People of the Pit available online. 3 Lines of Old French available online. Prologue. The Pool of the Stone God available online. The Woman of the Wood available online. The Drone available online. The Rhythm of the Spheres in the 1934 round-robin novel titled Cosmos, revised in 1936 as a standalone work, available online. The Whelming of Cherkis, When Old Gods Wake available online. The White Road available online. The Fox Woman available online. Pilgrimage or Obedies. Bootleg and Witches. The Devil in the Heart. The Dwellers in the Mirage. Short story collections The Fox Woman and Other Stories. Poems Song for Woodhorns. The Silver Birches. Old Trinity Churchyard. Sylvain. The Silver Birches. In the Cathedral. 2000. Song for Woodhorn. Sylvain. The Silver Birches. Madonna. The Ladies of the Walnut Tree. Court of the Moon. The Birth of Art. L'Envoi to Life. Screens. Sir Barnabas. In the Subway. Runes. EHEU Fugaces. A Song for Christmas. Comic Ragtime Tune. Behold the Night He Cometh. You Looked at Me. Dream Song. Castle of Dreams. I Wonder Why. My Heart and I. Think of Me. The Ballad of the Cub. Piddling Pete. The Winged Flames. Collaborations. The Challenge from Beyond available online. Cosmos available online. The Fox Woman and the Blue Pagoda. The Black Wheel. Essays A.Merritt on Modern Witchcraft. Concerning Burn Witch Burn. Letter, Man and the Universe. A.Merritt. How We Found Circe. A Tribute. Letter to Mr. Louis de Casanova. July 23, 1931. Letters and Correspondence. An Autobiography of A.Merritt with Walt Wentz. A.Merritt. His Life and Times with Jack Chapman Miska. What is Fantasy? background of Dwellers in the Mirage, background of Burn, which burn, background of Creep, shadow. A.Merritt's own selected credo. Adaptations. Merritt's work has been adapted numerous times in film and television. These include 7 Footprints to Satan, adapted from the novel of the same name and directed by Benjamin Crispinson; The Devil Doll, adapted from the novel Burn, Witch Burn, and directed by Todd Browning; Municho's Infernal, adapted from the novel Burn, Witch Burn, and directed by Benito Alazraqui.